Welcome to The Explainer. You know, when we think of law enforcement, our minds immediately go to police officers, judges, maybe a dramatic courtroom scene. But what happens when the laws are meant to protect victims who literally cannot speak for themselves? Well, in India, a massive chunk of animal welfare law is actually enforced by medical professionals. We're talking about everyday veterinarians stepping right out of the clinic and into the field as these unsung detectives of the animal kingdom.
I want you to really ask yourself this as we go through today's explainer. Who actually investigates a crime when the victim can't speak? It's kind of chilling when you think about it. Animals are entirely voiceless victims. If they face cruelty, neglect, or illegal trade, they absolutely need someone with highly specialized scientific knowledge to step in and speak for them. They need specialized forensic investigators. And in India, that profound responsibility falls directly onto the shoulders of veterinary officers.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's how we're going to navigate through this today. First, we'll look at the protectors of the voiceless. Second, investigating animal cruelty. Third, the rules of the pet trade. Fourth, we'll head into farms, markets, and streets. And finally, the final verdict.
Section 1. Protectors of the voiceless. Let's meet the folks on the front lines.
And this brilliantly illustrates the reality on the ground. A vet visit isn't always just your routine health checkup or a quick rabies shot. In the eyes of the law, a veterinarian examining an animal is often acting as the very first responder at a potential crime scene. Their medical assessment right then and there, that's the first crucial step in a legal investigation that could very well end up before a judge.
See, under the Indian Veterinary Council Act of 1984, a registered veterinary practitioner is way more than just an animal doctor. They're officially recognized medical experts. Their signature is mandatory on health certificates and postmortem reports, and their forensic evidence is absolutely critical in court. When a judge needs to understand exactly how an animal suffered, they turn to these vets for definitive expert testimony.
Section 2. Investigating animal cruelty. Now, let's step into the grim but incredibly necessary reality of active crime scenes.
You'd be surprised by how incredibly detailed the law actually is here. Under Section 11(1) of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, offenses go way beyond obvious physical violence like kicking or organizing animal fights. The law specifically outlaws abuses like injecting injurious drugs, such as oxytocin to artificially boost milk production in dairy cows, tethering animals with unreasonably short ropes, or stuffing them into tight receptacles where they literally can't move. It's so specific because the law is trying to recognize and shut down every possible avenue of animal suffering.
So, what exactly happens when a crime is committed? Well, there's a really high-stakes, step-by-step standard operating procedure. Step 1, if the animal is alive, the police seize the victim and the jurisdictional veterinary officer immediately inspects and treats them. Step 2, if the animal is mortally wounded and suffering beyond repair, the vet has to scientifically certify this condition so the court can legally permit humane euthanasia. And Step 3, if the animal has passed away, the vet basically becomes a forensic pathologist, doing a full postmortem and securing viscera samples to check for foul play, like poison.
Now, what's really interesting about this process is the strict legal chain of custody. Every single possible status of the victim, whether they're alive, mortally wounded, or deceased, triggers a very specific, legally mandated pathway. And that pathway relies entirely on the veterinary officer's medical authority to proceed. Without the vet, the gears of justice just grind to a halt.
Section 3. Rules of the pet trade. Let's shift gears from active crime scenes over to stopping cruelty before it even starts.
The dog breeding and pet shop rules are all about stopping the exploitation of animals for profit. And the protections are pretty rigorous. For instance, puppies absolutely cannot be separated from their moms and sold under 8 weeks of age. No exceptions. Every single puppy sold has to be microchipped for traceability. Pet shops have to maintain written, vet-certified exercise plans, and dogs over 6 months old must be sterilized before they're sold. Plus, breeders are legally required to hand over comprehensive health and vaccine records to the buyers.
So, the crucial point is this. None of those rules actually mean anything without enforcement, right? And that enforcement all comes down to the vet. By law, only animals certified in writing as healthy by a registered veterinary practitioner can legally be offered for sale. Think about that. The entire legal pet trade rests entirely on the signature of a qualified vet verifying that these living creatures are being kept in good health and treated ethically. Section 4. Farms, markets, and streets. Now we're zooming out to look at massive, large-scale operations.
I want you to put yourself in the vet's shoes for a second.
Imagine you standing at a chaotic loading dock or a massive animal market. The law demands a specific certificate for basically every scenario. You have to look at a terrified or exhausted animal and make a legally binding call. Are they fit to travel, or are they too fatigued, maybe pregnant or sick? Are they fit for slaughter, or are they carrying something contagious? Every single time livestock is transported, sold, or processed, a veterinary doctor has to sign off. They are the ultimate gatekeepers for animal welfare in the industrial world.
And the animal husbandry rules don't pull any punches when it comes to outdated, cruel traditions either. For instance, hot branding on live tissues, which was used for ages to mark ownership, is absolutely illegal. The clinical, legal jargon in the rulebook really contrasts with the deep empathy required to actually protect these living creatures from that kind of intense, unnecessary pain.
Now, to make sure the vets can actually do their jobs properly and aren't just rubber stamping certificates all day, the law imposes strict limits. The number 96 is a real game changer here. In a slaughterhouse, a vet legally cannot examine more than 12 animals per hour. That caps out at exactly 96 animals per day. Why? To guarantee that every single animal gets a thorough, genuine medical inspection rather than just being rushed down an assembly line.
The law also acts as a massive shield against routine agricultural cruelty. Things you might not even think about are totally unlawful, like inserting more than one rope through a bull's nose, or performing invasive procedures without proper anesthesia, or using agonizing methods like lustration on adult cattle. Even minor veterinary services have to be done under the strict supervision of a registered vet. It's a comprehensive shield.
Let's move on and see how this builds into how we treat the animals right in our own neighborhoods, specifically community dogs.
Under the Animal Birth Control, or ABC rules, we see a perfect example of prioritizing medical science over lethal control for street dogs. It's so carefully mandated. When dogs are brought to a center, vets have to immediately examine them and separate the sick from the healthy. Surgeries can't just happen anywhere. They have to be done in fully equipped operation theaters. Dogs can only be released back into their communities once they are fully recovered. And even in scary situations, like a suspected rabies case, a dog can't just be arbitrarily harmed. They have to be inspected by a 2-member expert panel that includes a veterinary surgeon. Medical compassion is literally written into the text of the law.
Section 5. The final verdict. As we bring all these threads together, the heavy burden these professionals carry becomes incredibly clear.
This quote from Minister Rajiv Ranjan Singh really hits the nail on the head. He notes that their unique position at the intersection of veterinary science and law enforcement places them at the vanguard of our efforts to create a more compassionate and just society. And it's so true. A society's sense of justice is often measured by how it treats its most vulnerable, voiceless members. These vets aren't just treating diseases. They're the ones turning the words of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act into actual real-world protection.
So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Next time you walk past your local vet clinic, or you see a veterinarian with a stethoscope around their neck, ask yourself, are you just seeing an animal doctor, or are you actually looking at a forensic investigator and a guardian of justice? Their role goes so much deeper than most of us ever realized. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the incredible, hidden systems working quietly every day to protect the voiceless.